For my recording setup, I have a few pieces of equipment that are set up in a studio rack. In this video, we're going to look at what equipment I have there, how it all works, and how it's all connected together. Keep in mind that this is just an example of the equipment I use for my purposes, and everyone's setup will be different and specific for their needs. For that reason, I'm interested in hearing what other people have in their setup, so let us know in the comments below. Before continuing, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified whenever a new video is released. All the equipment that I have mounted in my home studio is set up in an Odyssey carpeted rack case next to my computer. This is a 12U rack, but I have empty slots underneath, so I usually keep that space to store extra cables. This rack is carpeted and slanted with no wheels or anything to move it around, but I just keep it set up next to my desk. It's also deep enough for all my equipment and cables to be contained. This is a rack that should only be set up in a place where you don't plan on moving it, since it provides no protection to the equipment inside when you're moving it around. The rack equipment is being powered by a Furman power conditioner at the top. This provides clean power to all the equipment, protects it from power surges, gives us a switch on the front to turn everything on and off, and is also a clean way to distribute power since it's a rack mountable unit. This unit has 8 power outlets on the back and 1 power outlet on the front, so it's enough to power everything I've set up in my rack, with more room for expansion in the future. The main audio interface I use for recording is a 2nd generation Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. I got this as an upgrade from my older Focusrite Scarlett 18i6 since I wanted more connections and a rack unit. This audio interface has 8 microphone inputs. 2 of them are on the front and 6 of them are on the back. All the preamp controls are on the front, and we get phantom power for the first and second 4 sets of preamps and pad and instrument mode for the first 2 inputs to use with a guitar input. The display on the front shows us the level for all the inputs. This unit also has MIDI, SPDIF, and ADAT connections for connecting other equipment. For outputs, we have 8-line outputs with 1/4-inch TRS connections on the back and 2 separate headphone outputs on the front with their own monitor mix. The front has knobs to control the volume of all these outputs. As we can see with this audio interface, 6 of the microphone inputs are located on the back of the unit. This is kind of difficult to connect the microphones when setting them up since the inputs are on the back of the rack with a lot of equipment and cables. To solve this, we have an ART P16 XLR patch bay underneath. This gives us XLR inputs on the front of the rack. These are just a direct pass-through to the back of the rack, which is then connected to a cable which goes to the Focusrite interface. All this does is bring the inputs of the back of the rack to the front to make them accessible. The next unit is the Behringer Ultra 8000, and here we can see another 8 microphone inputs with preamp level knobs on the front. This is basically an expansion for the Focusrite interface. There are some units like this made by Focusrite that may have better preamps, but I like this one since I was able to buy it used at a really good price. If you're looking for one of these, the newer version is the Behringer 8200 and it's fairly similar. This connects over the ADAT optical connection for the Focusrite interface. From there, it can lock to the Focusrite interface's clock for the sample rate timing, or the other way around if we want that as well. The back of the unit has line outputs to connect to other equipment, but I usually don't use these. Worth noting, this unit also has signal and clip levels for each channel, plus a phantom power button. We can also see more accurate level meters in the Focusrite control software on the computer. The next 2 units aren't as commonly used, and I had them for a few projects I was working on in the past. The first is the ART Headamp 6, which can be connected to a headphone output, or easier than that, the monitor output, and then used to power 6 different headphone channels, with even more outputs on the back. There's also aux inputs to get a headphone mix and level knobs. This is a very powerful headphone amplifier that keeps a clean signal, and it's probably enough to blow the speakers in your headphones if you're not careful with it. The next unit is the Behringer Ultra Di Pro, which is a direct box for guitars and other instruments to bring them up to a line level. This is an active direct box, but I don't use it that often since the Focusrite interface has its own instrument inputs. I found this a little more important with my previous audio interface when there were only a few inputs, that way I could save the instrument inputs and connect the microphones to them instead. The last thing in this rack is basically my favorite effects processor that I bought, and that's the Avid 11 rack. This is a guitar amp simulator that takes your direct guitar signal and processes it to sound like it runs through an amp. There's lots of customization for controlling the amp settings, type of amp and cabinet, microphones, and stomp boxes. This is great for quiet practice even if you're not recording, so you can get a really huge guitar sound through your headphones without anyone else around you hearing. For that reason, it's great if you live with others or in an apartment. What's nice about this is it also connects over USB, so I don't tend to use it by connecting it to the Focusrite interface because then I lose a lot of control. The 11 rack has software that can run on the computer to control all its settings, like the presets, amp controls, and everything else, so you don't have to touch the knobs on the unit itself. Everything done on the computer can be done on the rack unit itself if we prefer to do that. Over USB, we can set it up as an audio interface in our software, then record a direct guitar signal with no processing and a processed guitar signal. After that, we can easily reprocess the signal with the 11 rack using completely different settings. If we tried to do that with a regular guitar amp, we would need to record it direct and use a reamp box to bring the signal back down to instrument level from a line level to send it to the amp. Overall, this is a great unit for recording guitars and bass, and it makes that process a lot simpler for me. For future expansion, I've considered some additional reverb units as well as 2 preamps or compressors, but at this point most of what I do is process within the digital audio workstation. I don't find there to be a huge benefit to purchasing a lot of that extra equipment, especially since I would be limited to fairly budget-friendly hardware. Thanks for checking out this video on my home recording studio rack setup. If this video helped you out, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon to get notified whenever a new video is released. You can also check the video description for products featured in this video and social media links.